You know story of the Cambridge spy ring. Here is a story. In the turbulent years spanning from the 1930s to the 1950s, amidst the backdrop of global conflict and ideological upheaval, a clandestine network known as the Cambridge spy ring operated in the heart of British intelligence, comprising a group of highly educated individuals who had once studied at the prestigious University of Cambridge. These spies betrayed their country by passing sensitive information to the Soviet Union. Their actions would have far-reaching consequences, shaping the course of history and undermining the security of the United Kingdom and its allies. Origins of the ring. In the tranquil courtyards and venerable halls of Cambridge University, a generation of bright young minds thrived amidst the intellectual ferment of the interwar years. Among them were a select few who would go on to play pivotal roles in one of the most infamous espionage rings in history. Anthony Blunt, a talented art historian, was one such figure. Born into a privileged family, Blunt attended Trinity College, Cambridge, where he excelled academically and cultivated an interest in Marxist ideology. It was during his time at university that Blunt first encountered the allure of espionage, drawn by the clandestine world of secrets and intrigue. Another key member of the Cambridge spy ring was Kim Philby, a charismatic and enigmatic figure whose charm masked a deeply ingrained commitment to his communist ideals. Like Blunt, Philby was educated at Cambridge, where he studied history and became involved in left-wing student politics. His charisma and intellect made him an ideal recruit for the intelligence services, but it was his allegiance to the Soviet cause that ultimately led him down a darker path. Guy Burgess, a flamboyant and eccentric character, completed the trio of Cambridge graduates turned spies. With his sharp wit and insatiable thirst for adventure, Burgess cut a striking figure on the university campus. Despite his outward charm, however, Burgess harbored a deep-seated disdain for the establishment and an unwavering loyalty to the Soviet Union. As the clouds of war gathered over Europe, the world stood on the brink of cataclysmic change. For Blunt, Philby, and Burgess, the tumultuous events unfolding on the world stage presented an opportunity to advance their own ideological agenda. Inspired by their fervent belief in communism and disillusioned by the failings of capitalism, they resolved to take matters into their own hands. Driven by a potent combination of idealism and naivete, the young intellectuals embarked on a journey that would ultimately lead them into the shadowy world of espionage. Little did they know that their actions would have far-reaching consequences, plunging them into a web of deceit and betrayal from which there would be no escape. As the first rumblings of war echoed across Europe, the stage was set for the Cambridge spy ring to begin its clandestine operations. In the chapters that follow, we will delve deeper into the murky world of espionage, exploring the motivations, betrayals, and eventual downfall of those who dared to betray their country into the chaos of World War II. The members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves at a crossroads. The tumultuous events unfolding on the world stage presented both challenges and opportunities for the young intellectuals who had embarked on a path of espionage in service to the Soviet Union. For Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess, the outbreak of war brought a sense of urgency to their clandestine activities. As the British government mobilized its resources to confront the Nazi threat, The Soviet Union sought to gather intelligence that could aid in its own war effort. In the corridors of power, alliances were formed and allegiances were tested, as the fate of nations hung in the balance. Against this backdrop of global conflict, the members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves thrust into positions of influence and authority within the British establishment. Anthony Blunt, with his impeccable academic credentials and connections to the elite, rose through the ranks of the British intelligence services, eventually attaining a position of prominence within MI5. Kim Philby, too, ascended the ranks of the intelligence world, using his charm and charisma to ingratiate himself with those in positions of power. Through a combination of skillful manipulation and carefully cultivated contacts, Philby secured a coveted position within MI6, the British Foreign Intelligence Service, where he would have access to some of the most sensitive secrets of the British government. Meanwhile, Guy Burgess, with his flamboyant personality and irreverent attitude, carved out a niche for himself as a liaison between British and Soviet intelligence agencies. His charm and wit made him a valuable asset in the shadowy world of espionage, where loyalty was often measured in shades of grey. As the war raged on, the members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves drawn deeper into the murky world of espionage. Their loyalties divided between their country of birth and their ideological allegiance to the Soviet Union. They walked a precarious tightrope, navigating a treacherous landscape fraught with danger and deception. In the next installment of our story, we will explore the exploits of the Cambridge spy ring during the tumultuous years of World War II, as they sought to balance their commitments to both country and cause amidst the chaos of global conflict. From the corridors of power to the smoke-filled back rooms of clandestine meetings, the members of the Cambridge spy ring would leave an indelible mark on the annals of history, shaping the course of events in ways they could scarcely across the continents. The members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves immersed in the shadowy world of espionage, their loyalties divided between their country of birth and their allegiance to the Soviet cause. In the midst of chaos and uncertainty, they navigated a perilous path, using their positions of influence within the British intelligence services to gather and transmit sensitive information to their handlers in Moscow. Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess operated with a sense of urgency, driven by their ideological convictions and a desire to advance the cause of communism in the face of fascism's relentless advance. From their vantage points within the halls of power, they sought to exploit the vulnerabilities of the British establishment, exploiting their access to classified information to further the interests of the Soviet Union. Blunt, with his impeccable academic credentials and connections to the aristocracy, proved to be a master of deception, using his position within MI5 to pass along vital intelligence to his Soviet handlers. Under the guise of loyalty to his country, he betrayed the trust of his colleagues and superiors, feeding information to the enemy while masquerading as a loyal servant of the crown. Philby, too, proved to be a formidable adversary, using his charm and charisma to worm his way into the inner circles of power within MI6. From his vantage point within the heart of British intelligence, he passed along a treasure trove of secrets to his Soviet handlers, betraying the trust of his colleagues and friends in service to the cause of communism. Burgess, with his irreverent attitude and flamboyant personality, operated on the fringes of the intelligence world, using his connections to facilitate communication between British and Soviet intelligence agencies. Despite his unconventional methods, Burgess proved to be a valuable asset to the Cambridge spy ring, providing a vital link between the disparate elements of the network. As the war dragged on, the members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves embroiled in a deadly game of cat and mouse, as the stakes grew ever higher and the risks became increasingly perilous. Yet, driven by their unwavering commitment to the cause of communism, they pressed on, determined to do whatever it took to further their ideological agenda. In the next chapter of our story, we will delve deeper into the exploits of the Cambridge spy ring during the tumultuous years of World War II, as they sought to navigate the treacherous waters of espionage in service to their Soviet masters. From the corridors of power to the front lines of battle, the members of the Cambridge spy ring would leave an indelible mark on the annals of history, shaping the course of events in ways that would reverberate for decades. Climax. The members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves entangled in a web of intrigue and betrayal, their clandestine activities coming under increasing scrutiny from British intelligence agencies. Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess operated with a sense of urgency, knowing that their actions could have far-reaching consequences for both themselves and the Soviet Union they served. Within the hallowed halls of MI5 and MI6, suspicions began to mount as whispers of a mole within the ranks of British intelligence grew louder. The Cambridge spy ring, with its connections to the elite echelons of society, became a prime suspect in the eyes of those tasked with safeguarding the nation's secrets. For Anthony Blunt, the pressure of maintaining his double life began to take its toll. As an esteemed art historian and member of the British establishment, Blunt found himself constantly on guard, wary of the prying eyes of his colleagues and superiors. Yet, despite his best efforts to conceal his true allegiance, cracks began to appear in his carefully constructed facade. Kim Philby, too, found himself under increasing scrutiny as suspicions about his loyalties grew within the ranks of MI6. Despite his charm and charisma, Philby could not escape the watchful gaze of those who suspected him of being a Soviet spy. With each passing day, the noose tightened around his neck, threatening to expose the truth behind his double life. Meanwhile, Guy Burgess, with his flamboyant personality and reckless behavior, drew attention to himself with his brazen disregard for the conventions of the intelligence world. His indiscretions and erratic behavior made him a liability to the Cambridge spy ring, as his antics threatened to unravel the carefully constructed network of deception they had built. As the war drew to a close and the Allies emerged victorious, the members of the Cambridge spy ring found themselves facing a reckoning. With the end of hostilities, the focus of British intelligence turned inward, as efforts to root out Soviet spies intensified. For Blunt, Philby, and Burgess, the endgame had begun, as they faced the prospect of exposure and betrayal at the hands of their own colleagues. In the next chapter of our story, we will delve deeper into the unraveling of the Cambridge spy ring, as suspicions mount and the net closes in on those who dared to betray their country in service to the Soviet cause. From the corridors of power to the smoke-filled back rooms of clandestine meetings, the members of the Cambridge spy ring would soon discover that no secret can remain on the battlefields of World War II. The once impenetrable facade of the Cambridge spy ring began to crumble under the weight of suspicion and betrayal. Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby and Guy Burgess, once hailed as heroes of the Soviet cause, found themselves ensnared in a web of intrigue that threatened to destroy everything they had worked so hard to achieve. For Anthony Blunt, the revelation of his true allegiance sent shockwaves through the British establishment. As a respected art historian and member of the elite, Blunt had been a pillar of the establishment, his connections and influence extending far and wide. Yet, beneath the veneer of respectability lurked a darker truth, as Blunt's secret life as a Soviet spy was laid bare for all to see. Kim Philby, too, found himself facing the consequences of his double life as a spy within the ranks of MI6. Despite his charm and charisma, Philby could not evade the relentless scrutiny of those who sought to expose him as a traitor to his country. With mounting evidence against him, Philby's downfall seemed inevitable, as the walls closed in around him. Guy Burgess, with his flamboyant personality and reckless behavior, proved to be the weakest link in the chain of the Cambridge spy ring. His indiscretions and erratic behavior drew attention to the activities of the network, hastening its unraveling and sealing his own fate in the process. As the net closed in around him, Burgess found himself with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. In the corridors of power, the revelation of the Cambridge spy ring sent shockwaves through the highest levels of government. The betrayal of trusted colleagues and friends shook the foundations of British intelligence, casting doubt on the loyalty of those who had sworn to protect the nation's secrets. For Blunt, Philby, and Burgess, the consequences of their actions would be severe, as they faced the full force of the law for their betrayal of their country. In the final chapter of our story, we will explore the aftermath of the Cambridge spy ring's downfall, as the members of the network face justice for their crimes. From the halls of academia to the corridors of power, the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring would endure, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of history for generations to come. The fallout reverberated far and wide, sending shockwaves through the highest echelons of British society and beyond. Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess, once revered as pillars of their respective fields, now stood exposed as traitors to their country, their reputations tarnished and their futures uncertain. For Anthony Blunt, the revelation of his betrayal sent shockwaves through the world of academia and the arts. As a respected art historian and curator, Blunt had wielded considerable influence within the cultural establishment, his connections and expertise earning him accolades and honors. Yet, beneath the facade of respectability lurked a darker truth, as Blunt's secret life as a Soviet spy was laid bare for all to see. Kim Philby, too, faced the consequences of his betrayal as a high-ranking member of the British intelligence services. As a former officer in MI6, Philby had operated with impunity within the corridors of power, his charm and charisma masking his true allegiance to the Soviet cause. Yet, despite his best efforts to conceal his double life, Philby's treachery was ultimately exposed, leaving a stain on his once illustrious career. Guy Burgess, the flamboyant and eccentric member of the Cambridge spy ring, found himself cast out from the halls of power and influence. His reckless behavior and indiscretions had hastened the downfall of the network, leaving him with few allies and even fewer options. As the net closed in around him, Burgess fled into exile, seeking refuge in the arms of the very enemy he had once sworn to serve. As the dust settled on the scandal that had rocked British society to its core, the members of the Cambridge spy ring faced justice for their crimes. Anthony Blunt was stripped of his knighthood and forced to resign from his prestigious position at the Courtauld Institute of Art, his reputation in tatters. Kim Philby defected to the Soviet Union, where he lived out the remainder of his days in exile, a pariah in the eyes of the country he had betrayed. Guy Burgess, too, lived out his days in exile, his once promising career in ruins. Yet, despite the ignominy that had befallen them, the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring endured, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of history. From the halls of power to the corridors of academia, the betrayal of Blunt, Philby, and Burgess served as a stark reminder of the dangers of ideological fervor and the corrosive influence of espionage. In the end, the members of the Cambridge spy ring had paid the ultimate price for their betrayal of their country and their fellow citizens, their names forever synonymous with the scandal that had rocked British society to its core. The legacy of the Cambridge spy ring continued to cast a long shadow over the world of espionage and beyond. The betrayal of Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess reverberated far beyond the confines of their own misdeeds, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of history and shaping the course of events for generations to come. The exposure of the Cambridge spy ring sent shock waves through the highest echelons of British intelligence, sparking a wave of reforms aimed at preventing future betrayals. The security services underwent a period of intense scrutiny and soul-searching, as the failings that had allowed Blunt, Philby, and Burgess to operate unchecked were laid bare for all to see. From the implementation of stricter vetting procedures to the establishment of new protocols for handling sensitive information, the aftermath of the scandal ushered in a new era of vigilance within the intelligence community. Yet, despite the best efforts of British authorities to contain the fallout from the scandal, the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring continued to reverberate on the international stage. The defection of Kim Philby to the Soviet Union sent shock waves through the Western intelligence community, exposing the extent of Soviet penetration into the heart of British intelligence and casting doubt on the trustworthiness of even the most trusted operatives. The repercussions of Philby's defection would be felt for decades to come, as Western intelligence agencies grappled with the specter of betrayal from within. Meanwhile, the exploits of the Cambridge spy ring captured the imagination of the public, inspiring countless works of fiction and non-fiction that sought to unravel the mysteries of their betrayal. From best-selling novels to blockbuster films, the story of Blunt, Philby, and Burgess became the stuff of legend, immortalized in popular culture as symbols of treachery and deceit. Yet, amidst the intrigue and betrayal, the true motivations behind the actions of the Cambridge spy ring remain shrouded in mystery. Was it ideology that drove Blunt, Philby, and Burgess to betray their country, or was it something more complex and deeply personal? Perhaps the answers lie buried within the labyrinthine corridors of power, forever lost to the sands of time. In the final chapter of our story, we will reflect on the enduring legacy of the Cambridge spy ring and the lessons that can be gleaned from their betrayal. From the halls of power to the pages of history, the members of the Cambridge spy ring would leave an indelible mark on the world, reminding us of the fragility of trust and the dangers of ideology. The tumult of the Cambridge spy ring scandal faded into memory, Echoes of betrayal continued to reverberate through the corridors of power and the annals of history. The legacy of Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess endured, leaving an indelible mark on the world of espionage and shaping the course of events in ways that would reverberate for generations to come. In the aftermath of the scandal, British intelligence underwent a period of intense introspection and reform, as authorities sought to shore up vulnerabilities that had allowed the Cambridge spying to operate unchecked. From the implementation of stricter vetting procedures to the establishment of new protocols for handling sensitive information, the lessons learned from the betrayal of Blunt, Philby, and Burgess would forever alter the landscape of British intelligence. Yet, despite the best efforts of British authorities to contain the fallout from the scandal, the spectre of betrayal continued to haunt the intelligence community. The defection of Kim Philby to the Soviet Union exposed the extent of Soviet penetration into the heart of British intelligence and sent shock waves through Western intelligence agencies, casting doubt on the trustworthiness of even the most trusted operatives. Meanwhile, the exploits of the Cambridge spy ring captured the imagination of the public, inspiring countless works of fiction and non-fiction that sought to unravel the mysteries of their betrayal. From best-selling novels to blockbuster films, the story of Blunt, Philby, and Burgess became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of ideological fervor and the fragility of trust. Yet, amidst the intrigue and betrayal, questions remained unanswered. What drove Blunt, Philby, and Burgess to betray their country, and what role did ideology play in their actions? Were they motivated by a deep-seated commitment to communism, or were there more complex and deeply personal factors at play? Perhaps the answers lie buried within the tangled web of espionage, forever lost to the sands of time. As we reflect on the enduring legacy of the Cambridge spy ring, we are reminded of the fragility of trust and the dangers of ideological extremism. From the halls of power to the pages of history, the members of the Cambridge spy ring left an indelible mark on the world, their actions serving as a stark reminder of the perils of betrayal and the enduring struggle between loyalty and the unraveling of the Cambridge spy ring. Yet the enigma surrounding Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess continues to fascinate and confound historians and intelligence analysts alike. Despite numerous inquiries and exhaustive investigations, key questions remain unanswered, leaving gaping holes in our understanding of one of the most infamous espionage networks in history. Central to the mystery is the question of motive. What drove Blunt, Philby, and Burgess to betray their country and risk everything in service to the Soviet Union? Was it a deeply held ideological conviction, a desire for adventure and intrigue, or perhaps a combination of both? While each member of the Cambridge spy ring undoubtedly had their own reasons for turning against their country, the true motivations behind their actions remain shrouded in mystery. Another puzzle that continues to vex historians is the extent of Soviet penetration into British intelligence. How were Blunt, Philby, and Burgess able to operate undetected for so long, and what role did they play in facilitating Soviet espionage activities? Despite extensive efforts to uncover the truth, many details surrounding the Cambridge spy ring's operations remain classified, leaving historians to speculate about the true extent of their betrayal. Furthermore, the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring continues to cast a long shadow over the world of espionage and intelligence. In the wake of the scandal, British intelligence underwent a period of intense introspection and reform, with new protocols and procedures implemented to prevent future breaches of security. Yet, the specter of betrayal continues to haunt intelligence agencies around the world, serving as a stark reminder of the ever-present threat of espionage and the need for constant vigilance. As we grapple with the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring, we are reminded of the complex interplay of ideology, loyalty, and betrayal that shapes the world of espionage. From the halls of power to the shadows of secrecy, the members of the Cambridge spy ring left an indelible mark on the annals of history, their actions serving as a cautionary tale for generations to come. Yet, despite decades of scrutiny and investigation, the true motivations behind their betrayal remain a tantalizing enigma. Forever chapter of the Cambridge spy ring saga, it is clear that the legacy of Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess endures, casting a long shadow over the world of espionage and leaving an indelible mark on the annals of history. Decades after their betrayal, the enigma surrounding their actions continues to fascinate and confound, serving as a cautionary tale of the dangers of ideological fervor and the fragility of trust. The betrayal of the Cambridge spy ring sent shockwaves through the highest echelons of British society and beyond, exposing the vulnerabilities of intelligence agencies and sparking a wave of reforms aimed at preventing future breaches of security. Yet, despite these efforts, the specter of betrayal continues to haunt intelligence agencies around the world, a stark reminder of the ever-present threat of espionage and the need for constant vigilance. The true motivations behind the actions of Blunt, Philby, and Burgess remain a tantalizing enigma, forever beyond our grasp. Were they driven by ideology, personal ambition, or something else entirely? Perhaps we will never know for sure. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, one thing remains clear. The members of the Cambridge spy ring left an indelible mark on the world, their actions serving as a stark reminder of the complexities of human nature and the enduring struggle between loyalty and betrayal. As we reflect on the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring, we are reminded of the profound impact that a small group of individuals can have on the course of history. From the halls of power to the corridors of academia, the members of the Cambridge spy ring left an indelible mark on the world, their actions shaping the course of events in ways that would reverberate for generations to come. In the end, the story of the Cambridge spy ring serves as a testament to the enduring power of espionage and the enduring struggle between loyalty and betrayal. As we bid farewell to Anthony Blunt, Kim Philby, and Guy Burgess, we are left to ponder the mysteries of their betrayal and the lessons that can be gleaned from their actions. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, one thing remains clear: the legacy of the Cambridge spy ring will endure, forever woven into the fabric of history. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe our channel for more interesting stories.